It's going to be an interesting roundup of the box office this week because movies that you thought were going to perform very well indeed have suddenly started to grind to a halt, while others that have been heralded as the best thing since sliced bread have just fallen off an absolute cliff. But I guess that's the box office, and let's have a look. Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. It's fair to say, I think now, that Wicked 2, Wicked for Good, has fallen off a cliff and has just absolutely lost it at the box office. But let's have a look at 4 different movies and how they're performing. And we'll start with Wicked for Good, which is currently at 441 million worldwide. Now, domestically in the States, seems to be performing pretty well indeed. Nearly at 300 million with, 3 weekends gone? So 2 full weeks, 3 weekends gone. So if it'd been keeping up that pace internationally, then it would be on approximately 600 odd million. And that would be seen as great. And it would be great, for particularly when you think what the first movie did and how it would perform against that, which was only a year ago. But look at that international. The international box office is less than half of what the domestic is currently. And that is ridiculous. Like, that is terrible. At the very least, when you put a movie out, you want your international box office to be on parity with your domestic. Ultimately, you want your international to be higher than your domestic. Duh. But it's a crazy case here because the international box office can really make or break a movie. And if you think back to, let's say, the Transformers and the Jurassic Park series over the years, where it started to grind to a halt on the domestic level, internationally, it's done incredibly well indeed. And that's what's, for good or bad, that's for you to decide. But that's what's allowed these consistent sequels to be made in both of those franchises. So if we just scroll down a little bit to look at the domestic, because the domestic is relatively impressive, apart from one major drop now. It's losing a few theaters, but not that many. But it's this here. You see, on the first weekend, it dropped 58%, which is probably a little bit more than I would have thought, but it still held up really well because it had a very decent opening, 147 million. And then the weekend after, nearly 62 million. But this weekend, it drops a staggering 72%. Ow. So even the domestic is now drastically on the decline. The international, as we can see, is just dead. It's not even going. And therefore, it's, I think, a rather safe assumption to say that Wicked for Good is going to peter out maybe just over the 500 million mark, which I don't think they'd be very happy with at all with that number. Now, let's just go to an absolute juggernaut, which is defying everything. Because Zootopia, in stark contrast, is having a similar-ish domestic start to Wicked for Good. But look at that international. 221 domestic, $697 million internationally, and it's already on the verge of flying over $1 billion, which it will no doubt do throughout the course of this week going into the weekend. $918 million worldwide. That's crazy stuff. This has, of course, been out less time than Wicked for Good and having a similar trajectory domestically. Well, actually, much less. If we look at it, that 141 from Wicked for Good is 100 for Zootopia 2. That's 60 something, 43. So it's actually not on pace. It's actually lower, performing lower than Wicked for Good's doing. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because it's still fine. It's still doing really good in terms of that. But that international has just set it bang far and above anything else that we can see at the box office right now. Now let's jump to another success story, and this is Five Nights at Freddy 2. Now this movie came out only this week, so it's only had its first weekend at the box office. $110.5 million worldwide, 64 million domestically, 46.5 million internationally. Now you could look at those numbers and go, they're pretty modest. Well, so's the budget. We're not dealing with a $200+ million budget like with the previous movies that we are doing with this. Five Nights at Freddy 2 had a budget of $36 million, which means to turn over a profit, even if we were to do the bog standard 2.5 times 2.5, it would have to hit about 90 million to break even. And it's done 110.5. So this movie is already about 20 million in profit after its first weekend, which is phenomenal because something like Five Nights at Freddy 2 is going to have as strong an opening as it can as all the fans go to see it. But the likelihood is it will peter out quicker than certain other types of movie. So it's got to front end the amount of money that it makes, and it already has. It's front-ended it, and it's already 20 million in profit. 3,400 cinemas. It's in a lot of theaters, so it's not as if it's really struggling up against the numbers here. No, it's had a really good amount of cinemas given to it, but it's turned over that profit. And that's exactly what cinemas need to happen for these types of movies, because the more people that go to see the film, the more that the theaters make through the tickets, 50-50 odd split, plus concessions, etc., and everything else that goes along with those theaters. And Lord knows they're hurting right now and they need them. But yeah, that's great. Preview night, 7.2 million. That's crazy good. That is crazy good. Bringing in a combined total for the Friday, because it combines the Friday and the Thursday, to essentially 30 million. And then 21 nearly on the Saturday and 13 on the Sunday. So Five Nights at Freddy 2, massive success because it's already in the black, and everything from here on in is just more profit for the film. So yeah, there will be a Five Nights at Freddy 3, no doubt whatsoever. And then let's round off this box office journey with a film that was hailed as a brave change from the regular Predator movies that we'd seen. Yes, it's Predator Midlands, as we've liked to dubbed it now. And this has just hit 180 million worldwide at the box office. This film is set to lose somewhere in the region of $50 to $60 million. I hated this movie. I thought it was garbage. I thought it was terrible. It's not even a Predator movie in my eyes. And it's once again, to me, the Disneyfying of the IP that they get. They can't help themselves. They can't allow brands to be those brands. They have to Disneyfy it. And they turn this essentially, in my eyes, to a girl's brand, which it is not. It's a ridiculous claim. And no matter how much gaslighting there's been online, no matter how much the mainstream media has tried to paint it as, oh, it's the highest grossing Predator movie of all time, which it isn't, because they haven't adjusted for inflation with any of the other movies whatsoever. So Predator versus Alien, or Alien versus Predator from 2004 has beat this film all ends up. Absolutely all ends up. Hell, it's only just, I think, squeezed past what it did at the worldwide box office. But if you look down here, if we just have a wee look down, look, in terms of theaters, it started off at 3,700. So that's a large amount of theaters for this. Dwindled down a little bit, lost 600 here, and then they lost another 300, and now they've lost 700 because there are movies at the theaters which are going to make them much more money than this. But it's here. It's this last weekend where it couldn't even muster 2 million over the 3-day weekend combined. And with the box office of the domestic and the international being on parity with each other, it gives you a very good indication of where this will end up. So it's Monday, Thursday, and Wednesday numbers this week. I dread to think how low they could actually get. So you see here, last time at the box office last weekend, another 62% drop, a big 68% drop in its first, 50%, 50% on its second, a lower 26% as it held itself during the Thanksgiving period. But no, after that, free fall. Much better movies to watch. And of course, with Avatar just on the horizon, this movie's done, it's dusted. It needs to hit around 250 million to break even. It's not going to get anywhere close whatsoever. So there we go, folks. The box office this weekend. It was a weird and wonderful place indeed. And I'll see you next time for maybe some more numbers about how things are going. Until then, you take care. Goodbye, Baloo Boo.